Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. On the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7CYM. The Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with fast scan television. We have a repeater located up on Cougar Mountain. We transmit on 70 centimeters. It's a crossband repeater and spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, please Google WW7ATS. That's Google WW7ATS. That will take you to our homepage. You'll find some information about our group, the frequencies we transmit on, and also you will find a link there where we stream our nets on YouTube, on the internet, on Wednesdays and Fridays. Also, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting use WW7STR's repeater 147.08 with a specific tone of 103.5 for Cougar Mountain. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact on the 08 machine before our net gets fully underway. Again, this is Dave, KD7CYM. Hearing none. So far, checked into the net this evening is Ron, KD7QKU, Bob, K9PQ, Richard, K7ITX, myself, Dave, KD7CYM. If there's anybody else who would like to check into the net.
Good evening, Dave. This is James, WW7N in Northeast Bellevue.
WW7N, thanks for joining the net. Again, anybody else wishing to check in? Heard somebody trying to check in. Try again, please.
7QO.
7QO. Yes, Jim, got you. A little bit on a weak signal, but you're there. Thanks for checking in. Again, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. Let's start out with Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
Thank you. This is Ron, KD7QKU. And yes, I'm over here in Tacoma. And Richard, thanks for sending me another invite. I was cleaning up my email on my cell phone and I must have inadvertently deleted it. So anyway, when I went to look on the computer, it wasn't there. So let's see, another beautiful day. Monday, I guess it was it Monday? Today's Wednesday, I guess I lose track. Went over to Costco and had a hearing test, and it just same as it was, not much good in the right ear. But I went ahead and ordered new hearing aids. It's been 7.5 years, she said, since I bought the ones I had, or the one of them had quit. I only had one left. So I did that, and then, let's see, I guess yesterday was Tuesday. We're thinking about probably giving away our Jeep Liberty to either our granddaughter or maybe my son. I don't know. I think maybe he wants it, but I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. Joanne doesn't like to let him go. She gets attached to him. Well, that was my favorite little car. I love that little car. And it is nice because it does turn around real easy. The radius, you don't have to park it or anything. It's really nice. So anyway, I had a 2-meter radio in it, the ICOM 208, I guess it was. And I'd used a separation kit, and I had the head mounted on the dash, and I had the radio underneath the seat. And then I had put an extension on the microphone. Anyway, I had fished all that stuff kind of through the console or the carpet or wherever it was. I don't know. Anyway, I got all the cables through there, but man, I had a hard time getting them out. I swear it taken me 3 hours to get all that stuff out. And then I ended up cutting the antenna coax off at the antenna. It went someplace through a hole somehow. I don't know, but I couldn't see how I could get it out. I don't know how I got it in. You know, there's a connector on one end and there's a big thing on the other end, and neither one of them are going to go through this hole. So, you know, why stand there and fuss? I just taken the cutters and cut the coax, got in the back seat, and it went underneath the, you know, where you get in the door of the sill. I must have taken that all off and run the power cord and the coax underneath there. So anyway, I did the same. I guess I did the same way with the power cable. I clipped the ends on that too because I thought it might be too big to go through. So anyway, it comes out, you know, near the front of the back door. So I sit down and pulled it out through the sill molding and everything. So I finally got it all out. Then I had glued the head onto a bracket that I had actually screwed into the dash. So now I have 2 holes in the dash. I guess I'm going to put the screws back in, but I'd used that double back tape. Man, oh man, that double back tape had that little head control stuck to that bracket 2 different ways. It was kind of an L-shaped bracket, and I had put glue on the back and the top, and I had shoved that thing in there. I could hardly get it out, but I got it out. And I haven't tested the radio yet. I did get out my analyzer. I have a radio in the kitchen, and I have a little Yagi that's supposed to be 2 meter 70 centimeter. I bought it from HRO, and I had it, you know, in Bellevue when I had all the interference, and I used that, and it helped me to get into the repeater. Anyway, it never seemed to be very strong. So this is the first time I ever put an analyzer on it, and it was more than 3. It was 3.4 SWR. So that's, I think, part of the problem. I wondered why when I key up the radio, it wouldn't get the Lyman Hill repeater, and it's pointed right at it. Well, I think the SWR is way too high. I'm losing a lot of power. So I don't know what to do about that. I don't know if it's tunable or adjustable, the antenna. And it's up and I'm on the ground, so I'll either have to take it down, do something different. It receives fine, but it sure doesn't transmit. Alright, I guess enough of that. Back to net, KD7QKU.
KF7UHK.
KF7UHK, go ahead. Why don't you take the net?
This is Jessica up and ever, KF7UHK. My Windows 7 machine won't boot up right now. It might boot up later, but I probably won't get on the Zoom meeting tonight at all. Let's see. I'm still on sick call, so I still have a bubble in my eye that's slowly getting smaller, which is nice. I think it's going to be a miracle surgery they did. I think it's going to be better than I started with when it's done. So I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. Sylvia's taking good care of me. I'm eating good and getting lots of rest, not driving anywhere. Just going down to the dumpster at our condo, to me, feels like a chore just with one eye. You know, you never really think about it if you close one eye and think, I can do that with one eye. But just try to do that after about a week or so, and then see, you know, then see how you feel about walking around out in public with one eye. That's what it feels like to me. TV, not very good. After you've seen all the old movies you want to see, it's like, okay, now I need another hobby that I can do with one eye. So that's what I got going so far, and I'm going to pass it back to Jessica, KF7UHK.
KF7UHK, thanks for joining the net. Let's see if Bob's with us. K9PQ in Bothelland.
Indeed. Good evening, everybody. The background today is from the Rose Garden in Portland. When I was down there for the family reunion, we took a little side trip. Let's see. There, you can see the rose. I don't remember which one that is. They have so many varieties. I would imagine a few hundred. It's just a fun place to visit. I had never been before. All the times I've been down there with my sister living in Vancouver, I just never quite got there, and so it was a beautiful day. It was just perfect, a beautiful day for it. And so let's see. Also, I've been continuing on with the digital. FT8 is going well. I can't remember if this is since I was on the net last or not, but I got to Alaska, and very happy about that contact, and a few others. You know, the FT8 is on the same, well, I should say similar principle as Whisper, where you start on a coordinated time slot, and it helps with digging the signal out from the noise. Also, it's got all kinds of forward error correcting and various other things. But it's part of it is this starting on a certain time slot. For Whisper, it's a 2-minute time slot, so you transmit for an entire 2 minutes, and anyone listening will post up to the internet. And for FT8, it's 15 seconds, so it's not going to dig out quite as much. You can't quite reach as far, but it's fun, and you can try to get new grid squares, see who's out there, and 20 meters, 15, 10 have been doing really well during the day, and 40 really well at night. So enjoying it so far. I guess I'll leave it at that for now. Back to net, K9PQ.
K9PQ, and this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net. On the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7CYM for an ID. Let's go to Kent, to Richard, K7ATX.
All right, well, let's see, I guess you guys can hear me okay. Let's see, Ron and Jessica both brought up topics that are kind of near and dear to my situation. I'll start with Jessica and the one eye. Now, Jessica, I don't know, you might have heard me complaining, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. For about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I had one eye that was just really in a lot of pain. It was like there was something in it all this time. So I really felt like I only had one eye that was good, and seriously, it was not pleasant. So I know where you're coming from on this one eye thing. And the thing that really irritates me is that it was the stand by, Mika's scratching my leg. Not very pleasant to have a cat scratch your leg. So anyway, so there you go. But the thing is, I had something in my eye, and when I went to the eye doctor, they had all. It wasn't the regular eye doctor. I guess the regular eye doctor was gone. It was a backup, but they gave me all kinds of things to do other than finding what was in my eye. And so I went for 6 weeks, and then went back to the eye doctor thinking I was going to have surgery. And no, I wasn't. Because the regular eye doctor found something in my eye, So, sheesh. So I hear you, Jessica. Except I'm sure what you're going through is totally different. No comparison other than the one eye topic. And it sounds like you're going to come out really good, too. I just can tell by your voice. The other thing is, Ron, giving up a car. Now, Debbie and I, we have 3 cars for 2 people. And maybe you have 4 cars for 2 people. I don't know. But and then you get rid of. Okay. So you got 3, and you're gonna get down to 2. Okay. Well, and that's fine. I mean, it's not like you can drive. Like 2 people cannot drive 3 cars at the same time. However, but once in a while, that 3rd car goes haywire, and then you're down to. If you have just 2, now you're just down to 1, and now there's a lot more coordination and things that can't get done or you don't get to do because you only have 1 car instead of 2. And maybe, I'm older in life, I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Eventually, you're going to have no cars, seriously. No, we still decided against getting rid of our 3rd car, and in fact came in handy recently when we had the dead battery in Debbie's car again, and so we didn't have to monkey around. Didn't have to play musical cars. She got to go her way that morning, and I did my thing, and then the guy with the battery showed up, and then we were back to 3. But it's just, this has happened a couple times where one of the 3 is down, and when you got 2 people running around, they don't like to be interrupted. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. And then last but not least, I'm doing this fantasy baseball again, and I'm in the playoffs with my sister, of course. It's always, for whatever reason, it's always my dang sister. But interesting, and maybe a little trickery on my part or whatever. She's been tied up with my mom, getting a hospice arranged, and that's been kind of a complicated thing. And so she hasn't been able to pay attention to her roster, and she's had starting pitchers that she could have been playing, and she just, because I think lack of attention, hasn't played them. And if she would have, I'd be in deep trouble right now. Especially, I had a pitcher yesterday who, I mean, can you imagine? Was actually negative points. Whenever your pitcher has runs scored against him, earned runs against him, that's points right off the top. And I had a pitcher yesterday have 8 runs scored against him in the first inning, 1 inning, 8 runs, and that's totally blew my strategy. So it's kind of weird. So I wrote down fantasy baseball versus hospice, and so right now fantasy baseball is just 1 point behind hospice, and we'll see how it works out. K7ITX, back to net control.
7ITX, not a fantasy, but a real person. So anyway, it's great to have you on the net tonight. Let's go on down to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Well, Ron, good luck with the new hearing aids. I tend to keep things a long time, too. As long as they're still functional, but it sounds like you kind of need new ones, especially if the one just quit. I know it quit a while ago, but I mean, if you lose the other one, then you have a serious problem.
So yeah, that's a worthwhile thing to do. Good luck with that. I hope they work out well for you. I know the technology keeps changing, just like everything else. We've got computers and whatnot. Let's see here. Giving away the Jeep. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we were talking about cars. My wife and I had 3 as well until retirement, and then we went down to 2. Of course, one of the issues, I kept being based in different places over the decades, and so occasionally it was useful to have a 3rd car to put in some other state for at least a few months. But not anymore. Jessica, yeah, still have the bubble resting. That's good. I'm kind of surprised they let you walk all the way down to the dumpster. I don't know how long. I have to explain how long they had you do that, lying down basically without moving. I don't remember how long that was supposed to be, but it's got to feel good, at least getting up and moving around. And yeah, I certainly would not try to walk intentionally with only one eye. I do have friends who have only one eye, but in fact, my neighbor across the street flies airplanes with only one eye. But I don't know. He hasn't crashed yet. Bob, Portland, Rose Garden. Yeah, that looks really pretty in the background there. And that hat that you've got there, that's a novel idea for the picture. That's thanks for pulling that out. That's a good idea. An FT8. Yeah, that's one of the things on my list of things to do as well. Maybe someday. Dick, Mika scratching your leg. Maybe she wants out. I don't know. I know she's not really an outside cat, but I don't know. Probably trying to tell you something, unless she does that occasionally. I don't know. Just a thought. Just a question, maybe. And fantasy football versus hospice. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, Dave. Let me reset. Well, that's enough talking for now. I'll turn it over back to you, Dave, N7QO.
7QO, well, thanks for joining the net. Let's wake up James, WW7N in Bellevue.
Dave, this is James, WW7N, Whiskey Uniform, 7 November, Northeast Bellevue. Well, you know, Ron, the only thing more difficult sometimes in installing equipment is uninstalling equipment. I know that the guy that writes all the amateur radio books says this is why you have to keep notebooks or files with notes in them, so when the day comes when you make some change, you remember what change it is you made. Probably good advice, because yeah, I've done wiring on sites, and actually had a physical notebook at a commercial site once, turned it over to somebody else. That guy dropped dead or went away or fled the country or something, and then they called me back in. Could you do this because you were the last one that really installed it? And I said, well, okay. I gave my notes to this guy, and they said, oh, oops, we have no idea what happened to that. And so I had to kind of start all over again from scratch. All I can say is it was good to bill by the hour in that situation. So anyway, let's see, and I wish you the best of luck with the new hearing equipment. My relatives always say that whenever they upgrade, they always really enjoy it, because I guess they just keep getting better and better. I guess they now got them hooked into your cell phone, so you can filter or you can decide which direction you want to listen to things in. It's like digital processing for a Yagi antenna built into your eardrums or something. Apparently it's great. Surprised to hear that your little Yagi, your 2 meter 470 Yagi does not work well. The one thing I would suggest, I'm sure you've looked at already, is look at all the corrosion points on the antenna, because things you can get away with at, like 50 megahertz, you can't get away with when you go to 400 megahertz. Everything has to be polishy clean and no aluminum corrosion anywhere in anything, so sometimes a little steel wool can do wonders. It's just a thought I had. Take it all apart, steel wool, everything, put it all back together again and see if it starts working then. Jim, yeah, your friend with one eye, does he always fly with someone in the right-hand seat? And then, as he brings it down to final approach, when he hears the hysterical scream, he knows it's time to pull up. That would be one technique. So anyway, just a thought, I don't know. But I guess there's been some famous one-eye pilots in the 30s that I can't think of one, but it was like an Amelia Earhart kind of era pilot that had an eye patch. So I guess it is possible to do that. I will say this, with eye protection being just such a requirement around any industrial equipment whatsoever and so many, other places, I do think there's fewer eye injury now than it used to be. I recall seeing a photograph of a fireworks factory from the 1920s or something, and it was obviously a posed picture because the people were wearing nice clothes and they were putting these fireworks together. But I know this one lady had a giant eye patch on her eye. I always kind of wonder, I wonder if that was related to work or not. Anyway, beautiful weather here. Reminder, I said, the Rose Garden picture reminded me of this myself, is, wow, it sure has been dry. It has been so dry. We got just a little dusting of rain here Tuesday, barely enough to get the cement completely wet. So I'm still watering everything around here, and you might want to consider doing that too if you still have plants out there. It looks like it's going to continue to be pretty dry. I was wondering if anybody has heard the long-term forecast for the winter. Is it supposed to be warm and wet or dry and cold this winter? If anybody's heard anything on that, you can go ahead and toss that up next time around. This is James, WW7ATS with the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Let's turn it back to Dave on that control.
7N, this is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. For Ron, decommissioning a Jeep with electronics, boy, sounds like a great job. I know what you mean with those connectors. You probably soldered the connectors on once you got the cable through the car, but the firewall, and it just wouldn't go through the hole with the connector on it. So anyway, down to 2 cars. That sounds like a good improvement anyway, Ron. And let's see, coming down, hate to get rid of a Jeep, but they're always so neat. Like you said, they're so easy to turn around in the streets and easy to park because it's kind of a compact car. And Jessica with the eye bubble getting smaller, congratulations. I think you're healing good, so that's pretty good. And Bob with FT8 digital, and boy, I've always wanted to try that, but I've never got around to it. And Richard with an eye problem that got better, so that's great. And fantasy football with the family. Oh my, that sounds like great. And let's see, James, advice on a 3rd car. And James, advice on Yagis on cleaning up the antennas to get them out there. And for me, this is Dave, KD7CYM. Well, decommissioning, I've got a couple of computers that I've got ready to go to the junkyard. Got them cleaned out, and I've been sitting around with a DOS laptop here for about 15 years, trying to figure out what to do with it. It still works, but it just doesn't fit in with everything that's going on. And then I had another laptop that was on XP, and it died, so it's all packaged up and ready to go. So anyway, decommissioning is going along, and today I got out to Costco to do some shopping around, and this week I acquired an iPad, and boy, I found that's a lot of fun. It's nice to be able to sit down in a easy chair, and it's just like a book when you're surfing the web. You don't have to be tied down to a desk and a big computer. You can do like reading a book. It's more than what I thought would come out of it, so I've really enjoyed it at this part. Still learning a lot of the ins and outs of the iPad. And with that, I'm going to move it back up to Ron, KD7QKU. As soon as I get another ID here, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. Net on the 08 machine, I'm Dave, KD7CYM. So Ron, KD7QKU, the net's yours.
Thank you, KD7ZYM. Well, Dave, it looks like, this is KD7QKU, looks like you went by the barber shop since I saw you last, too. You're a little shorter. You got your summer trim, I guess. I guess I better look at my notes. Oh, Jessica, yeah. I'm sure glad to hear that your eye is getting better, and it sounds like you can get up just a little bit more. That's good. Must be, you know, it'd be awful boring if just you had to lay there all the time. So I'm glad that's getting better. Yeah, Richard, you were talking about 3 cars. Well, you got a pickup. You know, you can always drive the pickup. That's the way it is with us. I don't know if your pickup's an automatic or a stick, maybe. It's a stick, maybe. Debbie doesn't like to drive a stick, I don't know. But our little pickup's an automatic, and it's all set. You know, I can tow it behind the motorhome, and I used to tow it all the time before we started towing the Jeep Liberty. The only reason we started towing the Liberty was people, we go places and want to, with motorhome and want to go, and then we had the pickup, and people have to climb in the back of the pickup. And that little seat behind the front seat is really small. I didn't realize how small it was till one time I rode back there. And then I went down and got the Jeep fixed so we could tow it. So yeah. We really don't need it. We haven't had insurance on it, so we can't drive it anyway. So I just got to convince the wife to let it go. She's thinking about it. So anyway, in the Rose Garden down there in Portland, yeah, once upon a time, Joanne and I went through the Rose Garden in Portland. I was sitting here trying to figure out when that was. It seemed like it rained a little bit, so I don't know, maybe it was in the fall. Well, the roses were blooming. I don't know. Maybe it was early summer. Who knows? And then somebody asked about if anybody had heard the weather forecast. Yes, I did. The other day they said we're having a El Nino. I don't know if it's a El Nino or whatever it is. We're having one. And they said that it was going to be drier and warmer than normal through November. I think that's what they said. Up till November, but I think it was almost through November. So Novembers are usually our wettest month, so it might not be as wet as normal. And James, that was a really good suggestion. I think about cleaning up the antenna. I'm going to have to get the extension ladder out. It's up a little bit, and I'll have to get up there, I guess, and take it down or look at it. But yeah, so it's been up for a few years. It could have something colored on it. It could be the location too, might contribute to some of it. Before it was always by itself on a mask, and now it's on a mask. It's vertically polarized, so it's on its edge. You know, it's not horizontal, and so maybe where it's on that pipe, it might interfere with it too. That's a thought I have. So anyway, one of these days, maybe I'll get to it. So let's see. With that, I guess I'll turn it back to the net. Oh, and Richard says cat. Yeah, that's what our cat does too, Richard. A little clawing and then a little biting to get your attention. She came in here to the radio room twice, and I, came over and rubbed on my leg. I didn't know if she was gonna be. She's friendly. She doesn't have an ornery bone in her body. If she, does a little scratch or a little bite, it's gentle, but it's not, done from anger or anything. So anyway, yeah. All right, so back to net, KD7QKU.
QKU. Let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK. Is she still with us?
Coming in over here, yeah, our cat does the same thing. It'll come up and kind of put his paw against you with his claws out and kind of say, "Look at me," or sometimes bite on my toes, very, very gently. I was thinking, your antenna, Ron, I have my elk log periodic. I think it's called dual band. It's up on top of the condo here, which is, for me, it's like 3.5 stories up, and pointed towards Seattle. And I sure love the thing. It's still running after all these years, and I haven't had to deal with it. And it's too far up to deal with, actually, because I just can't get up that far. And I don't think they want me up there that far. Anybody wants me up there that far. 3 cars. We got 2 cars, and I was thinking I need to go out and start my truck just to make sure. You know, I think it likes me. I think cars like being started every now and then. I haven't been out. I haven't used it for the last week or so. So that's on my list of things to do. And I think my doctor said that after a week I could be less regimented with my face in the pillow. And so it's been a week now, which I'm still laying down in the position, but I'm getting up a little bit more. You know, Sylvia used to work at nursing homes a long time ago, and because she was a certified nurse's aide. And as I was going off to work, I'd come down and visit her at lunchtime, bring her lunch, and sit in the car for a half hour. And one day we were sitting outside this nursing home. I think I was waiting for her, but I saw a lady come out of the nursing home in a wheelchair, kind of very slowly moving along, and then coming up to this little garden gate. And I thought, you know, this lady needs help opening the gate. She's not going to be able to do this by herself, so I helped her open the gate. And as she went through the gate, she mumbled, "I'm going to go find myself a new church. I don't like this one." And then I realized she was actually kind of an escapee. She was trying to get away, and pretty soon there were nurses coming after her to come bring her back. She didn't make it very far, but it was pretty cute. Other than that, I'm going to pass it back, Jessica, KF7UHK.
KF7UHK, thanks for that. Let's go on to Bob, K9PQ at Bottle.
Okay, well, hello again, and yeah, a few comments, Jessica. Yeah, I also want to say the same. I'm really happy to hear your eyes getting better and you're able to get up and around a little bit. Yeah, just staying still like that can be really a tough thing to do. My main memory of that was I was in 3rd grade or so and broke my leg and needed a full cast all the way up to the top of the thigh. And so when I first got home from the hospital, back then they'd keep you in the hospital a little bit longer for observation. And when I got home, they said, "Now you gotta stay off it. Stay off it. You know, you can get up, you got the crutches, you can get up, but you're not going to be happy if you get up too often." Well, of course I didn't listen to that. Got up and walked around, up and down, up and down. My mom said, "Bob, don't do it, don't do it." And then the next day I was miserable. I was miserable from the pain and the swelling from just being up too much. So good on you for sticking with that. Let's see what else. Cars. I have a completely different philosophy. My philosophy is the more cars, more problems. And so I have had one car for a very long time now, and it's you know, it is a pain when it's not running. It's a pain, and it's good to have friends nearby that will help give me rides to get the car fixed, and it becomes a high priority. But I've been lucky, knock on wood, I've been lucky for a while with my Toyota 4Runner. It's been just trouble-free for a long time. Let's see, what else? Oh, the cat scratching. Yeah, I figured that was your cat's way of telling you it wanted to get up in your lap. and of course, it has trained you well because you brought it up in your lap just like it wanted you to, Richard. And yeah, Sparky, she rubs against my legs. She doesn't get as far as like putting her claws on me or biting. I'm going to break this time around. Let's see. Oh, speaking of notes, yeah, James, yeah, I guess after that experience you learn to give a copy of your notes, not all of your notes, to the person who's going to be taking over the job. Always make sure you got one set for yourself. And yeah, watering, that's good advice on the watering. Fortunately, we have automatic watering here, and we've got the you know, the grounds people, and so that's all taken care of. And really good advice on cleaning connectors. I don't think of that enough myself. You just made me think. Time to get a wire brush or something and go after the connectors on my antennas. Dave, a DOS laptop. I'm shocked. A DOS laptop. I didn't know anybody had DOS gear anymore. And it sounds like it's running. You said the XP wasn't running, but it sounds like your DOS laptop is actually running, and that's impressive, I have to say. What else have we got? Oh yeah, November being the wettest month, Ron, I did not know that. I never really, you know, it doesn't surprise me, but I just never really thought about what is our wettest month. As much rain as we get, I never really thought about it. And interesting, it's November, and it'll be supposed to be dry this year. We'll see. And finally, there's talking about like getting rid of clutter and getting rid of extra cars and things like that. So you guys might have heard this. My brother told me about this thing called Swedish death cleaning. It's the new sort of decluttering fad. And the idea is, in Sweden, the idea is they don't want to burden their relatives with all the junk they've got in the house. So as they get older, they just drastically remove stuff from the home. And there's, this is stuff probably we've all heard before, but there's usual benefits claimed of, you've got with less clutter, you feel less cluttered, you feel more free and focused and blah, blah, blah. And maybe that's true. And I think about doing that from time to time, but haven't really started doing that myself. Okay, back to net, K9PQ.
PQ. Let's go on to Richard, K7ITX in Kent.
All right. Well, so yeah, this, giving away your notes and not having a copy, yeah, that's too bad. But that's easy for me to say because too bad for me as well. Now, maybe not notes, but how about, so I do on the side for a fee. I do retirement plans. Now, I'm not an investment counselor. I don't guide anybody on how to invest things. But what I can do is take your revenue and expenses and your assets to a certain extent without any input on my part. But I can I have a program that will run that out for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however you want me to do it. And so it's very complicated. It takes time, so that's why I don't like to do it. I don't do it for free because it's very time consuming, and I try to do a really good job. And I did this recently, and I thought, okay, whatever you do, save a copy for yourself. Okay, fine, I did. So, of course, when I gave the program to a friend, and he paid me, thank goodness. Well, so I asked him how it was going, like 3 or 4 months later, maybe half a year later, and he says, well, no, I'm not sure what to do, this or that. And I go, okay, well, good enough, good for you. I saved a copy. What's your password? Well, I guess what? He doesn't know his password, and neither do I. So it's the same thing. I don't have notes. I don't have anything saved. Without a password, it's just a big waste of time. But guess what? I get to do it all over again, and I get paid all over again. So I don't know. I guess That's how it goes sometimes. For Dave, so, you know, I'm watching Como News recently. I see Eric Johnson is reflecting on 70 years of news at Como TV. And so I guess it's going to be every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock till December 10th. I'm not too sure about that, but I'm just looking at some notes on my handheld right now. And so I guess, Dave, my question is, am I going to see you in any of these videos? Now here's, maybe I already did and didn't know it. Is that possible? Oh yeah, because you probably didn't have, did you have a beard and mustache back then? Oh, you did? Oh, okay. Did you have more hair or less hair or the same? Oh, about the same. Oh, okay, well good. Were you, you looked younger, obviously, so maybe you didn't have the gray hair and things like that, and maybe a little bit more, you know, a young physique, that sort of thing. Okay, good. I'm going to see if I can find you next time I'm watching, so that's pretty cool. All right, well, that's enough for me. K7ITS, back to net control.
ITX, and yes, I'm always ready to take pictures, so anyway. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society Net. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. Thanks, Richard, K7ITX. Let's go to Jim, N7QO.
N7QO, thank you, Dave. Wow, that was a lot of conversation there. Well, Jim, yeah, uninstalling equipment can definitely be problematic. I've certainly encountered situations myself. One-eyed pilots. I think you're talking about Wiley Post. He's probably the most infamous fellow who had only one eye. Right now, you can get a special issuance pilot medical certificate. You have to go in to the FAA and they will evaluate you on a case-by-case basis and decide if they will allow you to do that. I actually know a couple of people who have only one eye, and that's what they had to do. And of course, they're not flying with any airlines, but so it's not impossible, but you have to jump through a bunch of hoops. And I don't know, two eyes are definitely better than one. Ron, the Yagi, yeah, I kind of forgot you mentioned about that. Well, Jim's idea was superb. I've got a couple of other ideas. One, there's probably a matching network on the antenna itself. There's only like about 3 different types of matches that they use. Only 2 are really popular. I'm looking at, right now I'm holding a 3-element 70 centimeter Yagi, and on the driven element, the SO239 comes in, and it goes to a sort of rod which you slide back and forth to adjust the resonant frequency, the center frequency. So maybe you can adjust that on the antenna itself. But question, did it used to work fine and now it doesn't? It's interesting that the receive seems to be fine, but the transmit does not. I'm inclined to say that would probably be not necessarily the coax, but when you say it's an outside antenna, I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe the coax has a problem, maybe it's just old, or maybe depending, like if you're talking about 70 centimeters and you're running, say, RG8X to it, you're going to have some loss. So if you're measuring down in the shack rather than close to the antenna itself, the SWR might not be out of order. I don't know. So that's just another thing to look at, matching the antenna or also the coax. Let's see, Jessica. A week of downtime, up a little bit now. That's good. I know I would go absolutely crazy if I were immobilized for a period of time. Actually, I was back in 2016 for about 4 weeks, about a month. No, excuse me, about 4 months, and I was going stir crazy. But that was for a different problem. And cars, yeah, you definitely need to go out and start them every now and then. It seems like the new ones are more critical than the older ones. I could take my older vehicle, leave it parked at the airport for 2 months and go back to it and it would start right up. But the newer ones, let me reset. Newer ones, I'll tell you, we've got a car now it's like it's possessed. It will run diagnostics during the middle of the night. Sometimes the fuel pump will start running, and what the vehicle does is it phones home. It sends this diagnostic data back to the manufacturer, and then they send a report out by email to us as to why we need to go in and have repairs done to the vehicle. Yeah, right. But anyway, the newer cars seem to drain the batteries a whole lot faster if you're not driving them. So you might want to start it from time to time. Just let it run maybe, I don't know, I'd say at least 15 minutes or so to hopefully charge the battery a little better. Let's see here. Bob, death cleaning. That's an interesting concept. I wonder, maybe another option would be just as you're on your deathbed, have someone call 1-800-GOT-JUNK and pay them to take everything away. But then, of course, your children would get less money from you. I wonder if they would appreciate having to deal with all your junk, or if they would just as soon deal with your junk but have more of your money. I don't know. We all know how expensive they are. They wanted to charge Ron an arm and a leg for some stuff. And Dick, 70 years on Como. Yeah, it seems to me that is on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. And if I'm not mistaken, it's also on Friday mornings sometime. I'm not sure. It may be 6 a.m. Fridays, but it seems like it's 6 p.m. Thursday nights on Channel 4. And talking about Como, I saw they had something today about a restaurant in Lake City called Mojitos. And Dave, I was going to ask you about that. It seems like you were talking about them once before. Anyway, they had some good things to say about Mojitos, more specifically the individual who owns and operates it now. Curious if you have any input on that. Back to you, Dave, N7QO.
QO, let's go to James, WU7N in beautiful Bellevue.
Oh, looks like we got 5 minutes left in the net. Enjoyed hearing everyone tonight. I also forgot to mention last time, Jessica, it's great to hear that you are healing up. It's always good to hear a successful story on anything that has to do with eye surgery. It's always great news, so I'm glad to hear about that. Post. He was the one that had the eye patch. Good memory call on that one. And let's see, what else? Cats getting your attention. Yes, I had a cat that when she wanted attention, she would always want to jump up into your lap. And so we sort of made a deal at one point when I was working on the computer. She would sit in my lap and I would kind of work around her, and it seemed to work pretty well. She certainly seemed to adapt, and it was always nice to have her purr, you know, while you were sitting there working. For some reason, I've never been able to listen to music, but purring cats are always, they say they lower your blood pressure. Dick, you're brave. Financial forecasting for retirement purposes. I've played around with a lot of those programs, and there's two numbers that you can just get radically different results. One is, of course, return on investment, and the other is what's your projected inflation rate for what you're really buying. And you play with those two numbers, beyond 10 years, you can get anything you want. You can make it look like you're going to just be rolling in the dough, or you'll be dead busted broke. And it's amazing how exponential those two inputs are. I see Wade joined us, so I'm going to turn it back to Dave, but maybe we could hear from Wade before we wrap up.
W7ITL.
ITL. ITL? Well, apparently it didn't happen. Well, this is Dave, KD7ZYM, and for Richard's edification, this is the camera that I used to use in the field a lot. It's a Bell & Howell 70DR. The actual Bell & Howell camera was designed for World War II, and then the modifications came into broadcasting in the late 60s and through the 80s, and it holds 1.5 minutes of film, and probably my companion for many, many years working television news. But that was the hand camera, and we used that for cutaways and just instant stuff that you wanted to shoot. But again, 100 feet of film lasted 1.5 minutes. That was all you had to shoot. Then you had to reload and put another load of film in. So that's about it, and I'm seeing we're about just running out of time. This is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City. Oh my, it's been a great net this evening. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I like Richard's Phantom football, or baseball, the family tradition to getting together to do that. And pets, oh my gosh, pets. I can go back to when I had a little dog, and he wanted to get out in the morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning, climb up on the bed, and his paw would just hit my cheek. It wouldn't claw it, but just tap it to let me know I want out, and I want out now. And so then I'd get up and let him out, and I don't know why, but as soon as he was off the front porch and into the front yard, it was bark, 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 bark. I don't know what he was barking at. But anyway, he was letting the world know that he was here and ready to challenge the world. So pets can be interesting anyway. Then he'd come in and he was always happy, and now it's time for food. I've done my thing outside, now I want to eat. So that was it. And it's time to wrap up the net at this point. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. We'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 14708 for our voice transmissions. So on behalf of the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, this is Dave, KD7CYM, terminating the net at 9 o'clock. Good evening all.
ITL disconnected.